Good morning. Welcome to Morning at 10 TV. It is a Friday, and here on Kickstart, I will be taking, stories that matter to you and analyze them for you so you can get to understand how they affect you. And of course, yesterday, we'll start with a story that we saw yesterday, and this took place in Bukedea, municipality, and there were protests there. The youth took to the streets, of course. It was a peaceful protest, and this was after a taxi, knocked two people, and at the end of the day, one person was pronounced dead when at arrival to the hospital. And so the youth there were angry, they were outraged, and they were saying that so far 17 people have died since the beginning of the year, and nothing has been done with regards to the erection of speed bumps and humps along the town area. So let's take a look before we hold accountable the Ministry of Works and Transport. Let's take a look at what happened.
I've tried several times. People of Bukedea are dying, accidents. And why we're putting this demonstration, when we try to raise our issues, our problems in the Bukedea district, to tell the government about these harms, we have been trying to request for several times, but they have refused to help us.
Accidents are happening almost on a weekly basis. People are knocked, some vehicles even disappear. You cannot even trace where the vehicle has gone. So our appeal as leaders, me I'm a secretary, I'm a minister of works in Bukedea district. In this road.
Actually, what is happening is that an accident occurred in front of me where a speeding vehicle, a taxi that was heading towards Zimbabwe, knocked two young men and in a very critical condition. It's not the first time that such an incident is happening in Bukedea. Several times we have actually lost, this year alone we have lost over 17 people within the town area.
Today, we experienced a serious accident. There were around 7 pedestrians, so the driver happened to knock 2 of them. They were moving alongside the road. So, I think the way they were moving, they are not moving in a proper way. They were rushed to Kumi Hospital for treatment.
So one is still in hospital. He sustained serious injuries, but the other one unfortunately succumbed to the injuries and lost his life. Thereafter, later on, as we continue, we will get a hold of someone from the Ministry of Works and Transport just for them to get an opportunity to respond to this particular development. Why has it taken them so long to erect these speed bumps in the town area in Bukedea? So that's a story that we'll be keen on. Of course, we will let you once we get a hold of an official in the Ministry of Works and Transport. But we have to continue, and in studios I'm joined by Mr. Chifampa Sirajat. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yes. Political analyst.
Yes, good morning viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in to NTV this morning. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much. Yes.
So the other big story that we saw yesterday, a development still in the big talk of the nation, and this is on the merging of the government agencies. The day before yesterday, we saw Mr. Frank Tumwebaze say that this process will take 1 year, but yesterday we saw new developments. Let's take a look before we get into it.
From July 2019, we're starting with the legal reviews, which will take a minimum of 1 year. Then there is the change management, preparing everyone for what is coming. Then there is the study on each and every entity, looking at what are their running obligations, what are the implications on various protocols they have signed or memorandums of understanding. There are always slots in other areas of government where they could be fit. So first priority is given to them to apply for those slots. Secondly, change of nomenclature, again, which may require them to be moved into other ministries. And finally, when all fails, there's a provision that when your office is abolished, you're given a retirement package. There is a standard and there is a brand And when you have to protect that brand, you have got to set a cost. Lowest civil servant will be getting 800,000 and the highest 28 million. A teacher would get 1.5 million. The lowest, that is a primary school teacher, and the highest would be around 5 million. That is in the long term. While a scientist would be getting 3 million. That is at the officer level, and about 9 million for the director, science. Doctor be 5 million, and a consultant around 12 million.
We were having this laugh before we went on air, and you're saying that government pays well, eh?
No, of course, that is what they have to say, but actually, when you look at the pay slips of most of the people, this could be, it might not be the right money that is being given out to those people. Now, when you look at a teacher, when they say that a teacher will be getting 1.2 million shillings, you can look for even a headmaster who earns that money and you hardly find one.
Okay, all right. So the other day we saw that actually Frank Tumwebaze coming out to say that this process, the merging of these agencies, will take 1 year. But the PS Public Service came out yesterday to say that this process will take 3 years because there are issues to do with legal reviews, the change in management, of course, employees, just preparing the employees that will be laid off, and also just having to study each entity and seeing how best they're going to merge together. But and now it's going to take 3 years. So in your view, what bolts need to be tightened in that whole process just to ensure that this process, one, is not compromised and is not politicized?
Well, first of all, before I get to that, two contradicting statements coming from government officials is something that should be addressed as early as possible. First of all, this issue was announced something like 7 months ago, and we hoped that there could be meetings on how to harmonize positions and know what is going to be taking place, because this shows that there has not been enough preparation in terms of planning. That's why you hear a minister says a different statement and the PS comes out with a different statement. Nevertheless, what are the bolts that have to be tightened for this process not to be compromised? First of all, there should be transparency in the doing of the merging. Because usually people who would like to compromise the process and swindle people's money in terms of corruption, because people will always tell you that there is a job here, because no, very many people are going to be laid off, though the permanent secretary is saying that these people will be captured in the various government portals where they can get employment. Those that have failed, they'll always be compensated. However, unscrupulous personalities will always use that opportunity to get to people who have been working in these agencies to promise them jobs elsewhere so that they get money from them. So one, transparency. Because if you conceal information, people will not be knowing what is going on. Secondly, there should be a clear process of advertising these jobs, not only to those people who have been in the agencies, but rather there should be an opportunity for a Ugandan out there who qualifies for any of those jobs to also get access to that job. In other words, you advertise the jobs that you have, though you said that those that have been in these agencies will have a better chance of getting those jobs. However, there should be equal opportunities for every Ugandan to have those jobs as well. That's what I think.
Okay, so it's just transparency and clean advertisement. And everyone needs to be given an opportunity to apply for the platforms. Okay, all right. Let's move ahead to the other story, the big story that you saw yesterday, and these are the developments in the probe, in the investigations on Chirumira's murder. He actually was shot dead on Saturday. Chirumira, together with a business lady, Madam Nalinya. And so yesterday the government had a meeting and they had this to say with regards to why the process is taking so long for headway to be made. Let's take a listen.
No arrests have so far been made, but some suspects are being questioned by the police investigating team.
Let us allow the police to conduct investigations. If there are members here who have information relevant to this issue, take it there. It is sub judice.
it is really not what one would call a statement. It is not what Parliament is expecting to be tabled on the floor or to be read on the floor as a statement from the Minister of Internal Affairs.
Members wanted to seek clarification. Members wanted to ask the Minister to clarify to Ugandans what really took place exactly, what measures are the government going to do. Therefore, there is no subjudice.
After this one, another one comes. After this one, another one comes. Murder after murder. They say we are still investigating. The investigations don't stop new murders from occurring. So what is the use of telling people that you are still investigating?
I am very disappointed with the Minister, of course. I know he has nothing to tell us because he has not been instructed on anything. They only wait for the President to instruct them, and you could really see that the Minister is helpless. He has no point to make.
As Minister of Justice.
So the big question is, why is it taking so long? So far, it's been around 6 days and nothing has, come out strongly. Of course, yesterday in the New Vision, we saw a story being published right there. And one of the police motorbikes was actually used in the execution of this particular murder of Chirumira, Muhammad Chirumira. And so the question to you would be, after that particular crime happened on Saturday, we immediately saw the police move to demand for sport motorbikes to be registered, and the registration is underway. So in the, in the speech, they were saying that they think that it's a sport motorbike that was used in this particular execution of the death of Chirumira. But now we saw a revelation yesterday saying that one of the police motorcycles was actually used in this particular execution. So in your opinion, do we say that the police in this regard moved on panic without having, concrete background information that informed the registration of speed motorbikes?
Let me first take you back. Chirumira is not the first person that has been gunned down in Kampala. Several have been gunned down. The killings, mind you, began in 2012.
Correct.
Not even a single report has ever come out from the police. I stand to be challenged on this. Secondly, not even a single successful prosecution has ever been held out in course of law. So, we see stories emerging every other day. You remember after the death of IGP and Felix Kawesi, how stories emerged, and they were pointing to the rot in the police that maybe people who killed Andrew Felix Kawesi were within the police establishment. Even what we're seeing today, it is within the police. Now, when it's come to this issue of investigations, first of all, there has never been any serious investigations because I believe these murders are an internal job within the establishment. Even when the president was addressing the nation on Sunday evening, I remember very well, he did not sound like the Museveni of 1986 to 1995 when he was so tough on issues of murder, indiscipline within the army, and he once said that you kill a civilian, a soldier uses a gun to kill a civilian, will be put on a firing squad. And that's when we saw discipline within the army, the use of guns, and people were so excited about it. Now, we come today, the president is just saying that, I know they might have committed mistakes, but I will handle that because I'm the number one expert in that field. So, there has never been serious investigations. Secondly, Ugandans you shouldn't take these stories for granted. When they say that police motorcycles were spotted, are suspected to have been part of the squad that killed Chirumira. That shows that there is a very big dent on the credibility of the institution of the police. Should Ugandans begin thinking and feeling that it is the police that is putting away people in terms of killing them? Because how can police be spotted? How? Because this is the third incident of murder where the credibility of the police is in the spotlight.
Correct.
So, the minister can come in the parliament and the speaker will tell you that we give time to the police. But ever since 2012, we've not had concrete solutions to how we are going to avert the vice of killing Ugandans, the vice of using guns to kill people. So, I believe even if police is given 20 years, they will never come up with a solution to this because they know who is doing this.
In your opinion, so you would say that it is critical for the police to undergo a clear and tough reform?
For sure, we saw the changes that were brought about right from the office of the IGP, coming to other offices of commissioners and others. However, I'm telling you, there are several policemen who has got issues with members within the force, and they would like to solve their differences through blood. That's what I feel.
So what's the solution?
The solution is, one, there should be clear sieving of the entire police force. Get records of people. Get fingerprints, because the guns that are being used, they can easily be identified. And therefore, police, we saw the killing of AIGP and Felix Kawes when they spotted guns that were used to kill him, are special guns that are not commonly found anywhere. So there should be a systematic cleanup of the police. Eliminate the weevils that the president mentioned, because removing the top leadership and 2, 3, 4 people, guys, replacing them, merging departments, this one has been removed, it does not solve the problem. But we should have a clear program that is aimed at cleaning the police. That's what I think.
Okay. All right. I hope they're listening. So sieving every single person, not just the top officials.
Look at the record. How did people join the police? What has been their behavior over the years that they've been in the police? Maybe we'll have a civil and more professional police then when we do that.
Okay, all right. We also have another development, and the president tomorrow evening is expected to also address the nation yet again. And yesterday we got quite a number of responses. Let's take a look before you get your views.
Line 9, immediately the drone flies out. And if anybody is trying to escape with the pick his what, it will be on him.
Trying to manage the government almost single-handedly, because these agencies and ministries which we have would be able to give a clear position on what has happened and brief him accordingly. The president has always called himself a Sabarwan. So being the chief fighter in some of these situations, he thinks they require a fighter.
Should possibly, first of all, sit down, open his ears to almost all who can contribute in terms of advice, in terms of information, so that by the time he comes up, he will have a much more conclusive analysis and a much more and a better solutions.
Okay, so if the president wants to give more address on security, particularly on security, I don't see any harm with that, especially if he's giving counsel on how to take personal security, and he continues to elucidate on what government is doing.
The sooner they do it, the better. How they are going to do it is they have to examine their own house.
Rural terrorism was defeated, okay? We are now facing with urban terrorism. Is that a fact or not a fact? It is a fact. Look at the murders you've seen. They are targeting them mainly in the towns. Kajes was killed in Nigeria.
3 addresses in 4 months. And so tomorrow we're expecting yet another one. So we've heard the views, but in your opinion, this time round, what shouldn't the president miss out on in his address?
Before I give you my take on what the president shouldn't miss out, it is so amazing and surprising. Why should the president be giving an address on Sunday, the next Saturday is giving? You would hear in the middle of the week he might give another address, because there is no proper preparation. There are no concrete solutions to the problems that are facing Ugandans. One, these are the issues that I would like to hear. One is security. And I've heard the minister saying that he's going to address security. But even this, the president addressed the nation in June when he spoke to the parliament.
Correct.
He came up, with 10 points on how to improve security. Then what's new is he going to say tomorrow about security? Even when he was addressing the nation from the State House on Sunday, he got the script that he read in Parliament and went through again these very points that he put in place to ensure security in the country. However, what I would be thinking right now, that if you address the nation in June and you're seeing murders, continuous murders happening, you would just be interrogating your 10 points that you put in place. Have they worked? Because ever since then, the way how Ugandan security, how Uganda is operating is like it is in a panic. An incident happens, then they come up with something to say.
Would you then say his advisors are not doing their job? Probably.
If not saying that there is no proper planning. Why do I say this? Because we saw, was it in the murder of Andrew Felix Kawes, that they ordered for instant SIM card registration?
Yes.
And every Ugandan was registered. Then, a few months later, we saw the gruesome murder of Susan Magara, who had been kidnapped for 21 days. And in the 21 days, they kept on communicating. Even the president was involved from the recurring mass communication from the father. They were using phones, and they could not track down these murderers. Now, later on, they wake up and say some SIM cards had not been registered. Then they changed the use of putting airtime. So many things were changed. Now, in June, or rather, when the president was addressing the nation in June, when the late Honorable Abiriga had been murdered, he said the registration of number plates. The people should not put on helmets and things that cover their entire heads, so that they could always be recognized. Now, these are things that cannot bring down the murders, because stories are coming out that those who are killing are known, probably. Even when he was addressing the nation on Sunday, a certain journalist asked him that, don't you think that wrong people are being arrested? When the murderers are at large, they're enjoying coffee and watching when you're arresting wrong people. And said, yes, I'm in agreement with you. There could be people who have been arrested wrongfully, but they are also criminals elsewhere. We do not arrest them for murders.
So let me ask you now, on tomorrow, what exactly should he punch hard on?
Security. That is the number one concern of all
From
Ugandans.
what angle?
From what angle? What concrete solutions does he have to stop the murders?
Okay.
Because it is not only the murders of the gun, but rather iron bar hitters are on the street, people who are snatching people's bags. Yet that we have so many police stations and police posts in the town. Okay. How are you going to guarantee the security of Ugandans? People are hitting people's homes. They're destroying, they're hitting homes to come and grab their property and rob them in the night. Okay. So what concrete solutions does he have to give to guarantee Ugandans that there is security in the country? The other thing I would like to hear is the issue of economy. The unemployment is skyrocketing every other day. We have 83% of Ugandans unemployed. So what plans does he have? Is he going to be dashing out money like he's doing today? I'm seeing in Kampala that he was here, there, and there. So what is he going? The other thing is access to information. The president spent the entire speech last Sunday going against the media, warning media houses, the press. Is it now a strategy that government does not want Ugandans to have access to information? We've seen journalists being targeted, beaten. So when you silence the journalists, Ugandans will be in the dark. They will not know what is happening in their country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Siraje Chipampa, political activist right there. You have said that security from an angle of solutions, that is what he should focus on. The other thing you have said is he needs to make sure that we have clear, access to information. The ganging down of, journalists should not happen. And the other thing that you have said is the last one?
Economy and
the economy needs to be looked into. Unemployment levels in the country. Of course, we know that the government is now grappling on how to pay out the 40 trillion, shillings debt that we have as a country. But But of course, these are stories that you're keen on, and every single day we'll be sure to analyze them for you and make you understand on how this affects you as the Ugandan. That has been it for Kickstarter segment. Morning at 10 TV still continues. Remember, we are on the hashtag Morning at 10 TV. That's on Twitter, NTV Uganda. That's on Facebook and YouTube. Drop in your comments. We'll be sure to sample some of those. Keep it here. Morning at 10 TV still continues.